All right, so, does anybody remember what we talked about last week? Christmas. Okay, Luke wasn't here last week. You have a free pass. So, we started this little journey called Great Young Leaders. Remember this? And we talked about spiritual parents and what that looks like. Remember this? Yeah. So, what we're doing is, y'all, we are going to go just chapter by chapter, Sean. This is pretty exciting, right? We're going chapter by chapter through the book of 1 Timothy. And Paul had a spiritual son named Timothy that he wrote this to. So, Isaiah, it would be like if Elliot wrote you a letter, you would pay close attention to it, right? Wouldn't that be awesome? He wrote you a letter because he just loves you and he wants you to grow up to be an awesome leader. So this is kind of what it's like. So this week we're looking at this whole idea of worship and why worship is an important part of being a great young leader. Cool? That makes sense? So, I don't know about you, but there are a few things in this life that I despise as much, if not more, than mosquito bites. Everybody know what I'm talking about? There's nothing creepier than a mosquito bite because it's disgusting. Somebody has literally sucked the blood out of your own body without you even giving consent for this. Yes, Amber. Mini Draculas, precisely. It's disgusting and it's creepy. So, I don't know about you, but yes, I was once feeling 22, but that was like a year ago. That gives you an indicator probably. So, does anybody ever get freaked out by mosquito bites? Like once, I remember I got 10 on one hand, only on my hand, nowhere else on my body, and I thought I was going to have a nervous breakdown because it was so disgusting. It's just gross. The idea of somebody coming and sucking your blood, and have you guys ever heard of the tall tale of if you flex while being sucked by a mosquito, then it'll pop? Not true. Definitely not true. It won't work. The mosquito will blow up if you flex your arm. I have not done it. I've just kicked them. So, as I think about mosquitoes and how disgusting they are, there really is nothing more evil, though, than when you're laying in bed at night and you begin to hear. And it's dark, and you don't know where it is. Well, what do? You just you just kind of hope, oh, please don't bite me right on the tip of the nose, or yeah. It's just embarrassing. So, I think kind of in the same way, as I look at this scripture, there could be truly nothing more unattractive than anger and controversy, right? Nobody thinks to themselves, man, you know what I look for in a friend? I look for somebody who's angry. I look for somebody who starts up controversy. Nobody wants a pet mosquito, right? Nobody wants to hang out. Nobody likes mosquitoes except for, spiders and birds maybe. In the same way, anger and controversy is just the awkwardest thing ever. You know what I mean, Giselle? It's just weird. So, tonight we are talking about worship. Okay, and I want to just take a poll really fast. So everybody close your eyes. Raise your hands if you feel like, and it's okay to answer honestly, if you have a pretty good, all eyes closed, if you have a pretty good grip on what worship is. Okay, cool. Hands down. Eyes still closed. I can tell if your eyes are open or not. Raise your hands if you feel like, I actually kind of don't really understand what worship is. Cool. All right, hands down. Eyes open. Sweet. So I'm going to just do a super basic teaching on what worship is. Because I feel like if we can understand what worship is, then we become more like who we worship, correct? Because whatever you worship, you'll become like. So if you understand how this works and why we do it and why it's important, then you can know, oh, now I know how I can become more like Jesus and not more like the mosquito. That leads to anger and controversy and aggression, right? Okay, so there are 3 parts to worship. And this will all make sense, so just bear with me. Okay, if I were to say, Anthony, which direction is up? Show me which direction is up. Up. Yes, it's up there. So the first part of worship, so it's 3 parts. Everybody give me some threes. Okay, so worship is 3 parts. The first part is upward. So this first part is about telling God how amazing he is, right? So that's why sometimes when you think of worship or you see people talk about worship, what do? They raise their hands. Or like this verse that we just read that says, in every place of worship, I want people to pray with holy hands lifted up to God. So when we worship, one part of that is lifting our hands and expressing to him, telling him everything of how amazing he is. The second part is more of a receiving. So if you're going to receive something, what's your posture? So if I'm like, hey mate, here's a gift. What are you going to do? Yeah, you're going to put your hands out, right? Unless it's a mosquito, correct. So when you receive, this is your posture. Your hands are like this, right? So the second part of worship is listening. Listening for God to speak to you and tell us who we are. And let's see here. And then the third part of worship is going out and doing because of this encounter that we've had with God. So it's like reaching out, loving people, serving people. So does that make sense? So what are the 3 motions? So we have upward, which is expressing yourself to God. And we have the second one, which is receiving or listening for God to speak to you. And then the third one is reaching out and loving and serving people. So I'm just going to go after these and take them one by one. So expression. Telling God how worthy he is. Giving of yourself to God. This can kind of seem a little bit like abstract if you're like, I don't really get this whole thought thing of worship and all that. So I'll just break it down. So every single day when Elliot comes home, this is what it looks like. I'll be in the living room. Oh, I don't know. I was going to do a full-on demonstration, but this is literally what happens. Wait, are you going to be me or am I going to be you? Elliot. Okay, so Elliot will come home and I'll be in the living room and I don't even think about what's happening or if I'm listening to something or the oven's on or something's on fire. It doesn't matter. Elliot came home and this is what I do. Of an expression where it doesn't matter what's going on, it doesn't matter if I'm at a party and I haven't seen Elliot all day, or if I'm talking to somebody, or somebody's trying to talk to me, or I'm on the phone with somebody, or if I'm cooking something and it's on fire, or if a blender's going, or you name it, something's happening. When I see Elliot, all of a sudden, all those things don't even matter anymore. I don't even care to think about them. I don't care if the whole house blows up in a fire, it doesn't matter. My goal is to full on run, not a breath now, run at Elliot with everything that I have to express to him, I love you so much. I am so excited to see you right now. It's been 5 minutes since last time I saw you because you just went to go throw the garbage away, but I'm so excited that you're here right now. But if we built the house, it's okay, the house can take care of itself. Yeah, exactly. You guys are so concerned about my house. Thank you. Yes, Amber. That might happen. Or, Amber, for example, it was your birthday on Sunday, right? And as soon as I found out it was your birthday, which I kind of already knew because you sent me a message, what did I do? I came over to you, gave you a great big hug, and was I screamed in your ear and hurt your eardrums, but it was so, I squished your ear, that's what happened. But does that make sense? So when we worship God, it's kind of have you ever not seen your, okay, the best is summer break. You haven't seen your friends, or that one person that you just have such a great relationship with for ages, and then when you see them on the first day of school, what do? You're so excited to see them. Boys, I know this pertains to you, so especially, I know when Isaiah sees his friends, he just loses it completely and goes for it. Or when you haven't seen your parents for a long time, maybe they were on a trip or whatever, you you don't even care. It's not about looking a certain way or whatever. And so this is how we express ourselves to God. So when we say, hey, we're going to worship, it doesn't mean, because I know because I get to encounter God right now. I get to tell the Father how amazing He is, how amazing the things He created are, and how much I love Him. And so this is like the beginning. This is the first step, the first part of worship. And then is the part which is actually really, really exciting, where you get to pause and listen for Him to speak to you. So like sometimes in worship, like say for example, like worship doesn't even have to happen while music's playing. It can be just you in your room, it can be you on the bus, it can be you walking to school. Like you don't even have to open your mouth to worship. Worship is a posture of your heart. So like imagine this, Sean. If you were just like sitting in your room by yourself and you're like, you know, like I had a really bad day and somebody told a lie about me and it's really frustrating me. Can you just get to sit there with your hands like this and say, Father, would you tell me who I am? Would you tell me what you think about me? You guys are such great friends. You're like, holding hands together. But this is the second part of worship, where you get to listen and hear God tell you who He thinks that you are and how amazing He created you to be. Because we can see in the very first chapter of the Bible, right here in Genesis 1, it says, God says, let us make human beings in whose image? In our image. In the image of God, He created them. So we're created in His image, so we look just like Him. And when we get to pause and listen, He gets to tell us who we are and what He thinks about us. And especially I feel like when people are talking about us